I stopped drinking and I just kind of put the weight off.
20 years.
Yes.
Why did you fall off?
I was in a little town in Alaska. It wasn't the end of the world, but you can see it from there. And it was like all of a sudden I thought I could drink.
And I just held on to that belief that real Lucy came out when she was drinking.
When I was a teenager, I was addicted to alcohol and got in a lot of trouble. And
alcoholism is the only disease where when you treat it and recover from it, you become a better version of yourself than you were before.
I'll be sober for, it'll be 30 years this. I mean, if I get there, I got sober when I was younger.
People came in and talked about recovery and I read some stuff and I just it was time.
Well, there's a period of 4 years where I needed to quit drinking, and the drinking got in the way, and I talk about that a lot.
You are 100 days sober.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. That is a big deal. Why did you make that decision?
I just really never had that period of time of clear thought.
Do you miss being not sober sometimes?
That if I do,
what's the pros and cons?
I'll wind up doing too much. My kids don't talk to me. I get a divorce. I'm thrown out of my own band.
Right.
I lose everything. I mean, that's happened enough times.
It was more just that I lost everything.
Oh, you did?
I mean, I was practically homeless.
How old were you when you
I was 24 when I got
drinking?
sober.
when I was young, it was like I was just shy. I just didn't know how to get along in the world. I didn't know how to talk to people, and alcohol was like the best solution for that.
One of the best things that's ever happened to me. I'm able to see things clear. I'm able to remember things. I mean, this is how I decided that I want to live my life, and I don't ever want to go back.
I didn't one day wake up and say, I'm giving up drinking. I went on my own little journey, and by the time I had got to June 1st, I was the happiest I've ever been in my life.
I've been sober since pretty much the vocal surgery kind of did it for me, because I just learned so much about the effects, which again, you're just not taught.
Really? So you stopped drinking and the weight just, because they say that can really make a huge difference.
Yeah, I was having, I was getting in too much trouble with the drinking stuff.
It's also that same thought you have if you look off a large building and go, I can fly. And within a week, it was like, gone, And now, I realize I can't. So that was the gift,
I was willing to just go to this crazy dark place every time. I had to and wanted to get sober.
Got sober when I was 17, and 3 years after that, I was on a television show.
I was sober for a couple of years, and then I thought, I want to just drink like a normal person, and I want to have wine at dinner and so on. And I was able to. I was able to for about 8 years.
My life was a disaster. And I decided about 7 days in, not only wanted to go into treatment, but that I didn't want to waste my time in treatment.
That was one of those obstacles that I had to get over. And I think that, once again, I needed to clear the road in order for these things to happen.
And if I wasn't drinking, it was because I was hungover or something. Yeah. So it was just like the whole detox out of my system of it, and realizing you get this this high from having energy.
It does feel like a second chance in the sense of life again. I almost fucking died, so it's like that in itself. Like, I'm not gonna blow this chance.
I started to drink more and more and more, and it was really hard for me to accept that meant I was an alcoholic. I was like, I can just go back. I was fine before. I just need to take a break. I just need to slow down. I'm okay. You know what I mean? This isn't me.
And again, it could have largely been in my head, but you would feel watched when you went into a bar, when you went into a pub, and then, in my case, the quickest way of forgetting about the fact that you were being watched was to get very drunk, and then as you get very drunk, you become aware that, people are watching more now because now I'm getting very drunk.
If I was going to make the commitment to get sober, I wanted to give myself every advantage and really do the things that people do to stay sober, and thankfully I'd been committed to that.
I deserve more. I have to try it a different way. Alcohol isn't the problem. The problem is this feeling inside of me.
It's fun, they say, and then fun with problems and then just problems. Like, my window from fun to just problems was so short. Once I couldn't use alcohol to sort of fill that hole, it was like, success.
I think that's one of the problems with alcohol, is that if you came out with alcohol right now, if alcohol wasn't a thing and I've invented this drink, that is going to make you like either really happy or really aggressive or really stupid, and we're going to just sell it to the masses, people will be like, nah, mate, keep your funky juice. Like, we don't want that. That sounds terrible. And it's one of those things, because it is so socially acceptable, the addiction side of it, the bad sides of it, really do fly under the radar.
I mean, the one piece of advice I really like to share, having raised two young men, and everybody has to learn their relationship with alcohol and drugs. Everybody has to. They have to figure out how they're going to navigate it.
My wife was out, and I was opening up, and I thought, am I out of my mind? Yes. And I made a phone call, and from that moment...
Wait, you were opening up what?
I was opening up everything you can think of.
I don't drink alcohol anymore. I was like, this is a toxic behavior for me, and my whole life it held me back because I knew that I couldn't like surrender to something nor give it up.
It really is an inside job, and you know, I had to clean up my act and figure that whole situation
You no longer
out.
drink?
No, it's been over 11 years.
That I was going to get divorced. That I never thought I was going to get divorced. I didn't want to get divorced. I didn't want to be a divorced person. I really didn't want to be a split family.
2 times in the last 3 years he went to rehab, always worried that his drinking was affecting the children at the center of his life.
I really don't want my children to pay for my sins.
No one can get sober for their jobs, for their wife, for their kids. They can't do it for any of that. They can only do it when they decide they're done.
Why am I enslaved to this drink? Why am I so obsessed by the idea of having this drink? And I would look back and recognize that I would go to events for work and I can't enjoy myself until I've had a few beers.
It had a lot to do with the extent to which I was in the grips of alcoholism. And I think a component of that is that I somehow felt defective.
You know, the people in my life, my friends, my family, who are just the greatest people in the world and have stood by my side for, you know, I've been working on getting sober since I was 20. I'm 33. It takes time.
Booze and me, whatever, and I went, you know, I'm not, no. And I went to a meeting, and I've been sober ever since.
When you get sober, if you don't continue your aftercare by going to a couple meetings every now and then, you're going to wind up using again.
So I had a couple different outlets. Like I had like alcohol and drugs, where I could be like just like oblivion, what I call like non-being.
It's not really the drinking, it's staying up all night. You know, once you have your drink, you end up smoking. And there was other things that I end up, you know, I like to go up. So I now just avoid really drinking because I like to wake up at 110%. But it's never really been my problem, and I could see myself having a drink of celebration in the future. But I get so fucking hungover now that I'm like, why would I celebrate with like just feeling like a volcano's erupted in my brain?
My big worry when I got sober was I wasn't gonna have fun anymore. Like I was young, I was 26. And I was like, I'm not giving up my fun. Yeah. And I could never imagine, well, so when I get married, I'm not gonna have a drink? So when I have a kid, I'm not gonna have a whiskey? Guess what? Yes, I didn't have any of that, and it's awesome.
I'm really lucky that all my friends are super supportive about it. I've never run into that scenario where my friends are like, oh, go on, just have a beer, like, you're fine. They've always sort of really supported me. I had a great support system. Jack is one of my best mates, and we travel all over the world. He doesn't drink, and doing it with him was a really helpful experience for me. My brother is always on the road with me. He was very supportive.
It was like that definition of insanity. You do the same shit over and over again, expecting a different result. I was a complete prisoner of my own behavior. And finally, 3.5 years ago, I was like, I can't do this anymore. It doesn't work for me. I'm never gonna be that cool girl with the glass of wine at the party. Like, I'll want 3 bottles. Like, that's just my personality. It's my addiction. And when I finally let go of that, it made me realize that I was capable of great change. That
is one of the hard parts of being the child of an alcoholic. Do you think, what if my dad gets drunk? What if he does something stupid? What if he ends up on TMZ?
You know, there was just a discomfort in my own skin, which is a common trait of alcoholism. So I just felt like there was something wrong with me.
Basically, what alcohol did for me, it was like this feeling of, oh my God, this is what I've been searching for my whole life. I'm my truest self, right? Like, I'm so much funnier and cooler and people like me. That's all bullshit.
I didn't one day wake up and say, I'm giving up drinking. I found amazing replacements that I think are fantastic. Ones that are also really healthy.
I mean, you know, it took a few years and it took a couple of attempts, but I think I have been just unbelievably lucky with the people that I've had around me at certain times in my life. And I met some really key people, some of them actors, some of them not, who just gave me great advice and really cared for me. And ultimately it was my own decision. Like, I woke up one morning after a night going like, this is probably not good.
So many years that like the narrative was for me is this has a hold over you. You will never break this cycle. You are a prisoner of your own weakness. And every time that you fuck up in life, it has to do with this. You don't like yourself, and you're probably going to be stuck in that for the rest of your life.
Every time you say the word pain, your face changes.
What does it do?
You go somewhere.
It's very painful. Divorce is very painful, and alcoholism is very painful. They just are.
And I don't miss it generally, like now at all. Yeah, like the sort of chaos I used to invite into my life. I'm like, I'm really much happier now.
As I settle into recovery, my brain moves faster, I think faster, my thoughts are sharper, I'm clearer. There's a whole new awareness about me.